what we do is we show the how of how you accelerate change. We show who are the right people that you have to get on board in your organization to not only really be the partner for your change, but really to allow them as informal leaders to lead the change.
Welcome to the InitiativeOne Leadership Podcast, where we help leaders maximize their impact and transform their lives.
You know something, Nick?
Yes.
Before we go any further, I don't know if you called my mother or my mother called you and they decided what we were going to wear, but look at us.
I got the memo, and you did too.
Oh my gosh, black pants, same shirt.
There is one distinction.
Well, we're not going to talk about the fact that I have a different color of underwear on than you do.
Oh, we're going to talk about that, huh? I told you we're going to have some fun here today. So I'm Nick. This is Dr. Fred.
Hi, I'm Fred.
He is the CEO and founder of InitiativeOne, and we're going to cover the book, Is Everyone on the Boat? Now, in episode 29, we had talked about the visionary leader. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the primary leader. So just to give some context to the listener here, you and Dr. Paul Metler wrote this book called Is Everyone on the Boat?
Time out. If you like it, I wrote it and Paul helped. If you don't like it, Paul wrote it all by himself.
Yes. And you just have your name on the back.
Yes.
Got it.
Credibility.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
So if it's really, really amazing, he contributed in an amazing manner. If not, never mind. So is everyone on the boat? If you've not read this book, go on Amazon, go ahead and pick it up. And what's really great is there are specific characters in this book. There's the visionary leader, there's the primary leader, there's the bandwagoner, there's the naysayer. There's different characters, and whatever organization that you're part of, there is probably a visionary leader. There's probably a primary leader. There might even be a naysayer. Hopefully there isn't. But what we're going to be doing in the future is covering these different characters of this book. And what we want to do here today is, last episode, we had Tracy cover the visionary leader, which happens to be this guy in our company, and the primary leader, which happens to be
You.
me.
Yes.
All right.
You're one of them.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. So we're going to be covering the primary leader. And if you did not know that they wrote a book, go ahead and pick it up. We're going to have the link to the book in the show notes for the podcast. So let's get to it.
You know, before we go further, let me say this.
Okay.
One of our sweet spots here at InitiativeOne is that we really are, in true candor, we really are experts and have an unusual knowledge of how you drive change in the fastest, deepest way with the least amount of drama and using the least amount of resources of time, energy, and cost. And there are many, many books out there that say you got to change, and this is why. What we do is we show the how of how you accelerate change. We show who are the right people that you have to get on board in your organization to not only really be the partner for your change, but really to allow them as informal leaders to lead the change. And who are the people that naturally get in the way of the change, and how we spend so much extra time giving our power away to them as an organization, even though they're so toxic. And how do you release yourself from them, and how do you neutralize the toxic elements to change? So it really is a deep dive in a who moved my cheese kind of narrative of what do I need to look for? What are the signs of the folks I need to partner with? What are the signs of the folks that I need to neutralize in terms of lessen their influence? And how do I get everybody else on board? And how do I do that? This book is the methodology to do that, and it shows case studies of different companies and using them as examples of how they did this.
I like how you set the table there, because there are lots of different books that talk about you have to change, you have to move. And the first thing that I thought to myself was showing up as my best self. PDP scan, hello. The very process of a PDP scan says, we want to know how you show up as your best self, because if there's areas here that we know you don't excel, we're not going to make you work 20 hours a week here. Let's have you spend time where you show up as your best self.
That's right. So as a leader, there are some people that no matter how much you try, it has nothing to do with you, but you're never going to get them on board, no matter what, because of baggage that they bring to the table, because of pathological issues going on in their lives that have nothing to do with the company, but the company becomes their playground to live all this stuff out, and it happens to demoralize people and get in the way of change. And so those are real life issues that this book helps you to address.
Thank you for that explanation.
You're welcome. It's just like what we practice.
Like every time. Can we talk about primary leaders?
Yes, we can.
Pretty please. All right, the primary leader. Let's start off this. What is a primary leader? Like, how would you share with me how would you define a primary leader?
Well, Tracy's talked about visionary leaders.
Yes.
And they are absolutely necessary to raise the bar of possibility for people to see what's possible, and to move beyond people's fears. However, as Tracy explained, the challenge in visionaries is they love big picture. They crave it. I don't know anybody like that.
We might not have experienced this yesterday.
Never. But they are worn out by details. But as we know, the devil is in the details. You can have a powerful vision, powerful. Mm-hmm. But if you do not have the ability of the right people to come alongside of a visionary and put the plan together, understand what are the things that we have to address, what are the things that are going to get in our way, what are our barriers, what are things that we have to focus on. If you don't have that ability as an organization, you will be a visionary, but really you're going to be a dreamer who talks big things, but your organization can't get anything done. And so primary leaders are the second tier in high change leaders. Primary leaders, they are also, they love change, just like a visionary does, but they're much more pragmatic in what it takes to make the change possible. They are your natural problem solvers in an organization who, that's just how they think. Okay, that is a fantastic idea, Mr. Visionary, Mrs. Visionary. However, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? And what about this? And that is so cool. Let's do this. Well, their minds go immediately to how we are going to get this done. What do we need to pay attention to?
They're trying to connect the dots.
Exactly. And so what often, and that wears out a visionary. And a primary leader and a visionary have to be on the same page. Mm-hmm. The visionary has to understand the role of the primary leader. The primary leader is not trying to create angst for the visionary who doesn't want to talk about the details. Correct. But the primary leader wants to support the vision by talking about the issues that have to be addressed for that change to occur. Make sense?
Yes.
And so where there is often high stress, between primary leaders and visionaries if they don't understand the value that the other brings to the table. So a visionary that doesn't understand the role and the importance and the significance of a primary leader will look at that primary leader as an anal, over detailed perfectionist who needs to get a life. Look, I just wanted a daggone ditch dug out in the front of the plant. That's all I wanted, so that we can build that park. I didn't ask for you to bring in an x-ray machine that can see all the way to China. I didn't ask you to bring in all these heavy equipment, machinery that's going to take a week to set up, and then all this money that we're spending on these detailed drawings. Just build me a daggone ditch. Well, the visionary doesn't understand or appreciate all the planning and detail that goes into significant change. So, and yet the primary leader, if they don't understand the visionary, will say, look, Mr. or Mrs. Airhead, you know, you're up here in the clouds. Why don't you come down and join reality? The fact is, a visionary needs primary leaders to ground them and to set the course for success. The primary leader needs the visionary to push them, because if the primary leader is not careful, they want excellence so much that sometimes they can get caught up in making sure that things are done so right that the window of opportunity that life can present or take away passes. I've seen, it's like a primary leader who wants to build the best buggy, horse and buggy carriage possible. And they spend all these years on making sure it's all possible, and then the car gets invented. And no, it doesn't matter how perfect that it's top world-class horse carriage. Mm-hmm. The fact is, the world doesn't need that anymore, and we were so overoccupied that we took too much time and we missed the opportunity. And so primary leaders need visionaries to push them and to go after excellence and not necessarily perfection. And so they need each other. Primary leaders need visionaries to keep pushing them outside of their comfort zone of the need to have everything right. Mm-hmm. Visionaries focus on the right things. Primary leaders focus on doing things right. And the fact is, they need each other to find that balance. Now, the value of a primary leader is, and what this means is, what do primary leaders value? If this is not present, a primary leader will not engage with your organization. And there's two things really that they need to have. The thing that attracts great primary leaders to an organization is ultimately a compelling vision that is well, clearly cast by the visionary. Because these folks know how to solve problems. Mm-hmm. They have all kinds of opportunities to be hired in the market. I mean, these are the folks that thrive in solving problems, and they're not waiting for other people to solve the problem for them. They are a visionary's nirvana. Mm-hmm. And as a result of the way they think, they have all kinds of opportunities. But they are only going to want to attach their talents and their efforts to something that matters to them. And that is why the number one characteristic of why very skilled primary leaders join an organization is, our research has shown, is that they have meaningful work that is worth attaching myself to. They're going somewhere. There is clarity in where they're going. There is a compelling reason why they do it. And so ultimately, they need a very effective visionary to feel worthwhile, that it's worth coming to this organization. The other thing that they value is excellence. If you're going to ask them to do things, get out of the way and let them do things and give them the resources to win. Don't ask them to commit to something that is mediocre in quality and in talent. And so that's what motivates a primary leader. And our process is meant to create a safe environment where the visionary can challenge the primary leader. And the primary leader can say, time out to the visionary, you're going too fast. Now, one of the things that we know is that visionaries, there's never an idea that they don't love. Well, what can happen is they can bury an organization with too much too fast. Well, the primary leader is the guardian to keep that from happening. If there is high trust between those entities, the primary leader will go, time out. Joe, last week you asked us when you went to that conference, last week you came back, or last month you came back and you sat down with me and my team and said, this needs to be a priority and this is why. And we saw that. And for the last month, our team has been going night and day putting this thing together. And today you come to us after you've gone to another conference with a new idea. Now you're coming back and saying, this is a priority. Well, which one is it going to be? And the visionary will say, what do you mean, which one? It's going to be both, and it's going to be done now. And that's why you need the primary leader say, time out. We can't be all things to all people. And we have to focus on those 2 to 3 things that are going to give us the highest level of impact for the fewest amount of resources, and that will have the biggest impact to get us to the vision that you want us to meet, Joe. So, Joe, no. The visionary loves yes. The primary leader loves no, so that we can get to the yes. And so they are the person who keeps the visionary from blowing himself or herself up. And yet, they also have to be fluid enough to think outside the box. And so when you have a primary leader, team, and a visionary that's working in sync, magic can happen.
Are you satisfied with the current levels of accountability in your organization? Join us next month for our next leadership event, where we're discussing how you can energize your team through consensus-driven leadership. This event is our gift back to the community. Join us in person or online by registering at InitiativeOne.com. You can do so much. And when those individuals know the seat that they're on, like, this is the visionary, we all accept that.
That's right.
This is the primary leader, we accept that. All right, let's go make some magic happen.
And you have to operate from a place of positive intent with both of them.
Correct.
And that the meaning is there, the intent is there, and you have to give each other permission to speak their mind. At the same time, each of those, both the visionary and the primary leaders, have to be willing to listen deeply, to understand deeply where the other person is coming from. And so all that requires a safe environment. And what we mean by a safe environment is an environment where someone can speak their mind with KDR, kindness, directness, and respect, and not be shut down, not be punished, not be shamed. So if you're going to have an environment where both of these parties shine, you have to have an environment that they all understand the boundaries and the guardrails. And the guardrails are what we call your trust accelerators. These are your agreed upon, this is what we need from each other in times of disagreement, in times of conflict, in times of misunderstanding, in times of passion as a team. This is what we need from each other in that moment in our meetings, so that as long as we stay within our trust accelerators, there's nothing we can't talk about. There's nothing that we can't say. There's nothing that we're going to get offended by. And that is why trust accelerators are the bridge to allow both groups to be engaged passionately and deeply, and yet be a safe zone for each other.
Okay. So I just want to mention to the audience here, a trust accelerator. These, again, it's like you're living this already, right? Trust accelerators they are non-negotiables. They are norms that your organization or our organization, we agree upon these. Communication, for example, or delivering mail to the right address.
Yeah, if I have an issue with you, Nick, if I've got an issue with my visionary, we say we're going to deliver the mail to the right address. That's one of our trust accelerators that we all agreed upon. And that means if I'm upset with Joe, that I think he's coming on too fast, too quick, too much, I'm not going to go to 4 of my primary leader buddies and say, can you believe he's an airhead? Man, I can't believe he's doing this. We don't do that. We go right to the source and we say, KDR, hey, Joe, man, I need to talk to you about this. I know that you mean well, and maybe I'm not getting the full picture, but we need to talk about this. And you need to understand my perspective, and I need to understand your perspective. If you don't have that ability, you're not going to work through the inevitable conflicts and detours that happen in the change process. You know, another trust accelerator would be no meetings after the meeting. What that means is it's not that we can't talk about something after a meeting. It means, though, if you're upset about something that's going on in a meeting, you don't keep your mouth shut and then have a meeting after the meeting where you went to someone and said, I can't believe what happened in that meeting.
I'm guilty of that.
We've all been guilty, and I know most teams are guilty of that.
Yep.
And what happens is the place to solve the problem is in the room where everybody is, so that they all hear the same thing. And that's where you raise, hey, Joe or Pete, the primary leader, man, I've got a concern with what you just said. Or I've got a concern that how you shut down Sally right now when she just had a different idea. And let's get this on the table and let's talk about it. Another one is put things on the table. Don't leave things under the table. And so there are lots of different trust accelerators that teams come up with. But trust accelerators that we agree with are the glue that holds the primary leader and the visionary together and operating and keeping them attached together and moving in the same direction together.
It gives the team the chance to remove drama.
Yes. Drama is the enemy of effective change.
There we go.
And the way to deal with drama is you deal with the issue when it is at a crumb level before you allow it to become Thanksgiving dinner. I know a lot of companies that are buried by Thanksgiving dinners. And another way to say it is deal with 5 minutes of pain now so that you can have 5 months of peace moving forward.
And you can train yourself to do that.
Absolutely.
Because I can tell you personally, how I naturally show up is I'll take care of that later.
Yes.
And through my roles over the last 5-10 years, I've trained myself to be able to have that courage to come up to someone and be uncomfortable.
Yes.
I'd rather be uncomfortable for 5 minutes than for the next 5 years.
Yes.
So you can train yourself to do that.
And it takes work. But,
Yes.
But, it's not enough to say, primary leader, go at it. Visionary, go at it. Do your thing. The key to allow it to happen well is you've got to have an environment of safety that allows high communication and addressing of conflict in real time. And when that happens, it actually speeds up change even faster And it accelerates the trust of the team every time you overcome one of those obstacles, and you do it, and there's not blood splatter all over the walls. You know, that's crass when you think about it, but we've all seen that. And it's amazing when a team can get to the place where we can have adult conversations with each other and not give our power to discomfort, and we move through our discomfort. We work together. We talk with each other. We solve those issues in real time. That is the real magic that allows primary leaders and visionaries to soar.
So think about this in your organization. Are you a visionary or are you a primary leader? Think about this. Now think, let's say you're a primary leader, who in your life is that visionary? Or if you're a visionary, who in your life, who's someone a visionary could say, this person's holding me back?
That's right.
But
this person is trying to shut me down. They're trying to keep my dreams from happening.
They're just trying to create order.
Yeah, that's right.
They're just trying to create order. So think about this, listener. Who am I? Visionary? Am I a primary leader? Where would I fall here? And who in my life do I know that is a visionary? Who in my life is a primary leader? This interview is a perfect example. Like you said, yeah, Nick, you're a primary leader, and you are going past. You're talking about visionary. You're talking. This is, as you're listening to this interview, this is a perfect example of a primary leader trying to control visionary and stay on task. And I love this because you're pushing me. You're like, Nick, you don't have to stick to the script all the time. And hopefully I'm impacting you just a little bit just to say, all right, this won't be a 3-hour interview.
Yeah, and respect the sequence. Respect the three folks in the room who are here besides us who have something that they need to get onto.
Yes, we can't be doing this till Sunday.
That's right.
So this is really good. I mean, I asked you just to explain, and I feel that you went through so many pieces. We touched on the trust accelerators that we teach on. We talked about, and examples of those trust accelerators. We talked about drama, on how to be effective, having both the primary leader and visionary linked together. Like, it's like a marriage. If you have too many primary leaders, you're just going to have a bunch of people doing Excel spreadsheets, nothing gets done. But I think if you have too many visionaries, I think the same thing might happen.
Yes.
What would you say? Like, too many visionaries, too many leaders. What happens there?
Paralyzation.
Okay. People become paralyzed.
That's right. It's the opposite of having too much energy. They shut each other down.
Okay. Ineffective.
That's right.
We've used that word a couple times, haven't we?
That's right.
Ineffective. So you really need both.
That's right.
You really need both.
That's right.
Okay. This is really good. As you're speaking this through, I'm just thinking like through our organization and like where people fit. And I think we all as an organization know, like, I'm fully aware that you have a huge vision for the company, and I accept that. And I know I'm not that big visionary, but you know what? I can learn so much from you.
Well,
because you have it.
I couldn't do this. I couldn't do the kinds of things that you're doing to bring people to our organization. I couldn't do the kind of systems that you've done in marketing. I couldn't set up all these podcasts. I can't do these things. And that's why we need each other.
Well, you could. It would just be painful.
Oh, well, and it wouldn't be pretty.
So you could do it. It just doesn't ring your joy bell.
That's right.
Correct?
That's right.
Yes. So any closing thoughts on the primary leader?
No, I think we've nailed it. They're the folks that visionaries are the folks that go, go, and primary leaders go, but slow.
Mm-hmm.
They need each other.
Yes.
One's concerned about impact, the other is concerned about pace and detail.
And you need both.
You need both.
Well, it helps to have both.
Yes.
You can go so much further with both, with
right.
high trust.
That's right.
Thank you for going over these questions. I really appreciate
You're welcome.
this.
Thank you. And again, have I mentioned the fact of how well you're dressed today?
And I'm going to have the listeners, and you need to go to the YouTube video to watch this, because if you're listening, you're like, what are you talking about, a coat and pants? Like, now you're going to have to go to YouTube and check out this episode as well. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode as we covered primary leader on the book, Is Everyone on the Boat? Again, if you haven't picked up this book, go to Amazon. The book is called Is Everyone on the Boat by Dr. Fred Johnson and Dr. Paul Metler. Make sure you grab this. We'll put a link to the book in the show notes for you. And here's a quick question for you. Have you subscribed? Have you followed our podcast yet? Because we want to make sure you're not missing any future episodes. Because what we do week after week after week is we interview a variety of leaders that come with different ideas that we want to share with you that can help impact you and your business. So if you've not yet followed us, give us a follow. And if you know a visionary or you know a primary leader, share this episode with that person just to say, hey, I heard about you. I heard about this primary leader, and I think this speaks on you. Go ahead and share it with that one person. You never know what kind of impact that you'll have. And lastly, every single month, InitiativeOne hosts this leadership event called The Think Tank. And next month we have another one coming up, and we want you to join us. And if you've not yet registered for the next event, go to our website, InitiativeOne.com, and right on the homepage, it says register for the Think Tank. Make sure you register for that. If you're local to the Wisconsin area, come join us, have a water, have a coffee. But if you're too far away, you can join us online, and it's called a Think Tank. It's a discussion. It's not a speech. We want to hear from you. We want you to engage with us. And remember, leadership isn't what you do, it's who you are. Thanks.